So hi everyone, this is Paul Fosso and I'm here with Paul Czege, author of My Life with Master and Play That Work. Hi Paul, and thanks for being with us.
Hi.
Let's start from some basic questions. How long have you been role-playing? What was your first game love and your latest one?
When I was in junior high, when I was in sixth grade, I think, I heard classmates talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and it sounded awesome. I had no idea what they were talking about. I asked them where they had gotten the game, and they told me, and I went and bought it with my allowance money, and read it, and I had no idea what to do with it. It was, it was the only game of its kind I had ever encountered as a kid, and I ended up begging one of them, at school the next week, you've got to run it for me. I don't understand what to do with it. And he did. He had learned it from an older brother, and he ran it for me, and it all fell together and it clicked. So that was definitely my first, love.
And what's your latest one?
Oh, my latest one. I'm right now, I think is a rising moment for journaling games. And I've played a few, and they're really, in my head. I keep a writing journal. I read a book years ago called The Artist's Way, which talks about how to keep a daily writing journal. The author calls it the morning pages. You write 3 pages, stream of consciousness, and it helps you unlock your creativity. And journaling games I think they're having a moment. I played a few in the past year, and they're really sort of in my head as a new trend.
Coming to indie games, self-production did a lot for many RPG designers out there. But what about distribution? Is there a new frontier in sight? How do you think game designers should distribute their games in the near future?
Wow. I mean, there's so many things I wish were different. Like if you look at a country like China, they make it very easy for small companies in China to ship worldwide, because at the government level they subsidize the cost of postage. In the United States, the U.S. government does not do that. The way the laws work in U.S. Congress, Congress can raise the cost of international postage without needing to pass a new law. Well, the government can raise the cost of international postage. They can't do it for domestic postage. So they keep the cost of domestic postage low, and the cost of international postage goes really high. This is, say what you want about the English language, but the world speaks English. So if the U.S. wanted to be a cultural exporter, they can be, and they are in the film industry and in big entertainment industries that bring in billions of dollars. The U.S. is a cultural exporter to the world because English is spoken everywhere. And but with small creators, artists, game designers, physical distribution depends on the mail. So the U.S. government doesn't, really care much. So I think, as a small creator, I did it myself for years with My Life with Master. Shipped it worldwide. It's super fun to get an order from, a country that, you've only ever gotten one order from this country before, and it's fun to put it in the mail, put the customs form on there, and ship it. You feel like you're having a connection. So it's a super difficult question.
Yeah. I understand that. Since my life with Master, all your games feature game innovation in terms of mechanics. Sometimes this is so disruptive. Congrats. And what do you do to research for game innovation? What's your goal?
So I'll tell you an anecdote. There's a woman creator. She tweeted about a game that she published a while back, and she said, and it's a traditional style role playing game. You know, game master. You've got character stats. You roll to accomplish your actions. You've got a skill list. You know, it's a traditional game. When she was participating in traditional game circles on Facebook, she got a lot of feedback that was good, and that was, that she felt was legitimate, and it felt like people were engaging with the game on it, on its own terms. When she participated in indie games, circles on Twitter, she got lots of feedback that was like, you go girl, do your thing, publish your game, we're excited for you, but it didn't really engage the game itself. It was more about you as a creator, you as a, and I think the reason is because with a traditional game and in traditional game circles, people have a baseline game that they can, sort of mentally evaluate your game against, and they can have a reaction, on, in those terms. But when you get into indie game circles, the baseline isn't some prior gaming experience. It's how creativity works, and how collaboration works, and how relationship works.
Let me ask you something I really care about. What impresses me is the social approach of your games. You always focus on relationships and how these relations develop. We can say this is one of your landmarks. I felt that the Clay Their Work was about that, for example. And then I saw on Twitter, you promote the Sustainable Hope Game Jam. So what's the social role of RPGs? What do you look for when it comes to relationships between characters, between humans, between people?
I think art is about creating worlds. And I think novels are, and music, and when Hollywood is telling us the same stories over and over again, it's because it's trying to create this sort of status quo world. But there is no other art form like role-playing games where you, as a user of the game, are participating in the worlding. It's the same as a first date. It's the same as, any kind of human interaction. And I think that's why role-playing games are awesome, because we're all starved to be able to tell our story. We're surrounded by this crush of the same story over and over again, having our story told for us, and we all want to be heard.
So RPGs can face social and delicate topics. Are we making progress on that, or this is still a niche too small to make the difference?
I think I'm a failure as a creator if I'm not trying to express the whole human condition in what I'm creating. Whether I'm an author, whether I'm a musician, I think I need to work hard to be able to understand the human condition, and to be able to write characters who aren't like me.
That's great. Getting around the web, I found this principle named after you. It's the idea that it isn't fun for a single player to control both a character's adversity and the resolution of that adversity. This may sound simple, but it was perfectly fine. And I was wondering how you got to that principle. What were your considerations?
Way back on the Forge, people would post game design, mechanics, sketchy, and people would play them. And my group at the time in Michigan, we played one of Vincent Baker's games called Chalk Outlines. And in the Chalk Outlines game, that's exactly what you did. It was a heist movie game, and you were creating obstacles to succeeding at the heist. And under certain circumstances, you could be the one who created the obstacle and who's also describing how your crew of criminals overcomes the obstacle. And it was kind of boring because when you created it, you had already sort of pre-created how you might solve it. And I think a lot of the fun of a role-playing game is the challenge of being interesting. Having your character do interesting things, getting the other players to be invested in your story and pay attention to your character. And under those circumstances, in that game, Chalk Outlines, it was not the best creative flow to be the one who was creating it and then also resolving it. It undermined the other player's ability to be interested in it as much as if you were solving a problem created by somebody else. So I said that, in a discussion at the Forge, I said, I think this is a problem. It's a creative problem that if you create the adversity and you resolve it, it's boring. It's not as interesting. That it's not a universal principle, but I think you need to be aware of it as a problem and maybe use your mechanical design instincts to solve it, and not let it be a problem in your game.
Right. That's awesome. Let's talk of the pandemic. Everyone turned their game sessions online. And RPGs have been a tool to stay close to each other's. Did you feel that too? And what did you do over the lockdown?
It's been tough. I haven't done a lot of gaming during the pandemic. A little bit of stuff online. A couple of face-to-face games during the real low part of the year for us in the United States. I got really interested in something called Mosaic Strict, a proposal by Michael Prescott. And it really clicked for me. I mean, he said basically, can you create a game that has, like a subsystem, a role-playing game subsystem that has no mechanical connections to other subsystems. So people could mix and match subsystems together and have their own custom game experience. A character creation system that one creator made, a conflict resolution system that another creator made, a magic system that one other creator made, and mix and match them together. And it totally clicked for me that the only thing that makes them hang together is the fiction that you've told. And so as a group, you'd be paying attention to the fiction, and it would be causing you to say, oh, wait, it's time to use conflict resolution, or it's time to use magic, or it's time to, and I got super fixated on it. I created a bunch of them and posted them on Itch.io.
Okay, give us 3 best titles released in 2021.
3 best titles released in 2021. My favorite game experience of 2021 was a journaling game. They're really short little entries, not long journal entries, by a woman designer named Bianca Canosa, who goes by Momentos on Twitter. It's called The Magus. It's a fantastic game. It takes 2.5 hours to play it. The prompts are awesome. And I had a super good time. I really love, a lot of journaling games can be just sort of do this writing prompt, do this writing prompt, do this writing prompt kind of a thing. And, this has a mechanical core system and there are decisions to it. It's a great game. I bought a lot of zine games the past couple of years. They feel fresh, to me. I've got one sitting right here that I want to start reading called Savage Sisters, which I have not yet started reading, but it just came a little bit ago in the mail. I've got this one here. I'm halfway through reading called Gratitude. Very sort of stark.
Okay, so we got to the end of this conversation. Thank you again, Paul, for being with us. I really appreciate it. That was absolutely fantastic. We'll keep on playing your games and hope to be able to talk with you again soon. So thanks again and take care.
Thank you.